Okay, and we're back. Next step here, we got our whole floor framed. Next step is to put the subfloor on. So find the corner that you started your layout on. It should be 1 3/8 from one corner to your first joist. Find that corner, and we're going to put our subfloor on. Whichever direction we put our subfloor on, we're going to put a little star there. Because when we start laying out the walls, we're going to want to start our layout from that corner. Because remember, all of our path for our load, we're going to want to transfer from rafter to stud down to floor joist. It just makes a stronger assembly. If everything's lined up, it makes everything easier to run mechanicals in those walls, all that kind of stuff. If ceiling joist, rafter, stud, floor joist is all lined up, it makes those kind of things a lot easier. So mark the corner of the subfloor that you started your layout on, and then we're going to mark the center of a couple of these floor joists, because we're going to glue and use our little nails to nail this down, and you're going to want to basically know where those are. So just every other one or so, just mark them so we can follow our nailing pattern here. Skip that one because that's our floor opening. Don't forget about the floor opening. Now remember, these are lapped, so they're going to be slightly different, the centers. So in the middle, if you measure, remember we're 1 3/8 and go to our first one. So right there, 1 3/8, and we got a stud there and there. And then again, 2 3/4 there and there. 4 1/8, 5 1/2, and so on all the way across. So we'll be able to mark the centers of these floor joists, so when you're nailing, you don't miss a whole bunch. All right, so now we've got our layout marked. Just put some marks right down the center of each joist. Like I said, you're not going to need a ton of nails, but you are going to need some just till the glue sets up. And you don't want to be missing all over the place with nails. All right, so we've got it all marked. You can see those faint pencil marks in there. We're going to want to put a little bit of glue on here. Try not to make a giant mess everywhere with this glue. A little bit goes a long way. So just put some glue on some joists. Definitely get some glue around the perimeter so those little edges get glued down and they don't lift up and get caught on anything. And make sure you got that mark in the same corner. Lay down your plywood. And start nailing it off. Hold it nice and flush on both edges in the first corner. Nail the other corner. Nice and flush. All right, now if you're flush on these two edges here and you're not quite flush here, you're slightly at a square, which probably isn't really a huge problem, but the time to fix that is now. So just get your nail started in this corner, push this end over to square it up until it's flush. And nail it. Alright, now if that's flush the whole way, it should be nice and square. So then you can just go ahead and finish nailing off. Put like 3 or 4 nails in each floor joist that you've marked, and that'll be enough until that glue sets up. Okay, so subfloor's all nailed off. Everything looks okay from here. I did manage to blow through right there, so I'll back that nail out and that'll be fine. And underneath, I don't know if you can see, but I did kind of miss on one nail right up here, but that's okay. So just check and make sure your plywood is tight to the underside. If you want to cut this out, that's fine too. Wait till the glue sets up and borrow a drill or something. Drill the corners to mark it, and then you can actually cut this 1/4 inch plywood by just scoring it repeatedly with your utility knife. But just like a window opening, you'd want to drill those holes right close in the corners, connect all the dots on the top side, and then just start scoring it with your knife until you break through. So that's it for today. We've got our deck done, and we're ready to start laying out our first floor walls. That'll be next week. I'll start posting videos on that. And but in the meantime, if anybody wants to try and tackle it using our drawing here, right there, just keep in mind you want to have that center girder. You want that to be stacked over top and parallel to your center bearing wall in the drawing. So if anybody wants to try and tackle this, laying it out, go for it. Just shoot me a picture on Google Classroom. And last question, I know I've beat on this with the first years a lot. What do we nail our subfloor down with in full-scale construction? What type of nail? So remember, you're going through 3/4 inch either plywood or OSB. So what type of nail do you nail that down with? And then last question, who remembers the nail pattern? How many inches on center on the panel edges and how many in the field? So if you know those answers or you think you got a guess, just post those guesses on Google Classroom. All right, hope you guys have a good weekend, and we'll pick this up next week.